Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tuoliatos and brought to you by his book, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. On his website, you can get that. That is gtoul.com, gtool.com. You can also get it on amazon.com. Dr. Tuoliatos is also a monthly contributor to Muscular Development Magazine. He's been a contributor to many other books and magazines. Please welcome from Athens, Greece, Dr. George Tuoliatos. How are you, sir?
Hi, Ron.
This is
I'm fine.
episode 31, Doc.
31, yes.
Yeah. And
Let's move forward. We have 8 questions for people.
yeah, you're getting very generous with these people. So yeah, let's get moving. 8 questions, guys. Okay, here's one. A health question. I like that. Dr. T, with my new bloods, my total cholesterol went down, but HDL went down 20% since I started my first cycle. What can I do to increase my HDL? That's a good question.
Yeah, we've said that before. And now this is a nice observation because, for instance, when we use statins and we bring total cholesterol and LDL down, because statins work for these two kind of fragments, actually HDL also follows and a bit drops. On the other hand, when we elevate HDL, also LDL and total cholesterol sometimes elevate. And this is achieved by eating some saturated fatty acid, because lauric acid, which is presented in steak, for instance, tends to elevate HDL, but also then we observe that LDL and total cholesterol elevate. Now, about this question, we can elevate HDL by different methods. HDL actually is very stubborn and increases way slower than LDL decreases. So HDL increases in case we do everyday cardio of low pace, for instance, 60 to 70%. If we quit smoking, if we eat essential fatty acids, omega-3, 6, 9, if we eat plenty of fiber, and if we take specific supplementation like niacin, about 500 milligrams a day, split it in 5 doses with each meal, krill oil, astaxanthin, resveratrol. These are some kind of polyphenols and antioxidants that help to prevent oxidation of the lipoproteins. Sometimes, yes, they give this kind of, I think it's a SARM, the GW or cardarine, that has shown to be promising to elevate HDL. And you can expect, for instance, 5 to 10% elevation within 1 month.
Oh, okay.
My highest HDL is very genetically predisposed. Men tend to have lower HDL because of the lack of estrogens. However, on the other hand, women have HDL usually above 50, while men have below 50. And my highest HDL was about 45.
Wow.
You should keep it above 40. And actually, 17 alkylated steroids crash on HDL even from the first week.
Wow.
I've noticed single digital HDL. The lowest was 5. Personally, I had 10 right after my show. Yeah. And it's something that you have to build it week by week, you know. Yeah. It is very bad. Cardiologists say that a low LDL below 100 is more healthy than a high HDL over 50.
Oh, okay.
It's more, it has greater importance, the LDL, because it's supposed to bring all the atheroma within the arteries, the bad cholesterol. Yeah. And HDL has cleaning properties, you know, as the good cholesterol.
Oh, okay.
Remove the plaque, yes.
It's good to know, because a lot of us do freak out when we see our HDL is very low. Yeah. Okay, hey, Dr. Hulk, that's what they're calling you, Dr. Hulk. What non-prescription supplements would you recommend to keep blood pressure under control?
Now, supplements do not require any prescription because they are not chemicals. For blood pressure,
yeah.
He said?
He wants to keep blood pressure under control.
Now, for blood pressure, we may use potassium because it is the sodium-potassium pump which is contradictive to the cell membrane. And by using potassium, we excrete sodium. That sodium also elevates blood pressure, and something that works also through aldosterone and steroids. Also, we may use vasodilator substances like arginine and citrulline that they're able to produce nitric oxide and give this flushing effect and the vasodilate. Niacin also does the same. Of course, avoid any kind of stimulant because they lead to vasoconstriction. And perhaps we should manage cortisol because cortisol is a stress hormone and leads to vasoconstriction. So if we use cortisol management supplements as ashwagandha, rhodiola, and valeriana, that they bring, they relieve the stress. They may help also use them by night when cortisol is supposed to be low in order to sleep. Okay.
All right, cool. Next one. Dear doctor, great show as usual. Let me ask a question about optimal body fat percent for the non-competing but active men after 40. Is that right approach to bulk slightly to 15%, then mini cut around 10% body fat? Would you advise different numbers? Clean diet, volume training, Cutler style, plus cardio, testosterone supplementation, including 200 to 400 a week. Okay, so that's his test. Plus masteron at cutting phase, and NPP, nandrolone phenylpropionate, at bulking phase. We'll be grateful for the answer. So what should his body fat be?
More or less, I agree with everything he said, that 10% during, cutting phase should be very optimized. 15% would be the upper limit, okay? So ranging between 10 and 15 is a pretty good. Now, of course, testosterone replacement therapy will be up to 200 milligrams per week. And now, if you want to get jacked, maybe you should elevate it up to 250. And again, add some nandrolone phenylpropionate, or myself, I add some nandrolone andecaunate from the pharmacy, but in very small and moderate doses, What else did he ask?
I think that was his main thing. He wanted to know about he's really concerned about the body fat. If you think those are good numbers to aim for, 10% during the cut and 15%?
Below 10% now, the six-pack starts to reveal, and the obliques below that to 8 to 7%, But 10% is pretty acceptable, pretty fair, Don't be paranoid in over 40s. I mean, everybody is obese. And
I don't know about Greece. I don't see too many fat people over there, but boy, do we got a lot of big people here.
No, take a look at your schoolmates, Ron. I mean,
here we have a lot of obese people, I'm saying.
Same here, but we should also, according to our age, our schoolmates, our classmates, they look horrible.
Yeah, that's true. Tell all these guys out there, keep the bodybuilding lifestyle, because when you go to your 10, 20, 30-year high school reunions, you're going to be the stud. And these other guys are going to be all fat and bald and sad looking. It's terrible.
The only thing about us is the joint issues we have. Yeah. The ligaments that we have, the injuries. But apart from this, the way we look is amazing.
Yeah. Those fat guys probably have nice, healthy shoulders. My shoulders.
Yeah.
Doc, you probably stay closer to 10% body fat all year from the looks of all your pictures.
Well, I believe about, 12%. I believe all year long, yes.
Yeah. Well, you're in a nice hot country. You can show the physique off all the time too. So, lipoprotein question. My lipoprotein is at 507 milligrams per deciliter instead of the under 300 milligrams deciliter. That must be the optimal range. What can I do to decrease this? I know it's mostly genetic. Should I megadose vitamin K2 in order to prevent any chance for calcification, which lipoprotein is a good indicator for? Thanks, Dr. G.
Yes, no, vitamin K2 is irrelevant to this, but actually LPA, lipoprotein A, shows a step further about the genetic predisposition, and actually it lowers by niacin, vitamin B3. And myself, I have also lowered my LPA, but of course it's genetic predisposed, but vitamin B3, niacin lowers it. So the same with HDL and LPA. They listen to niacin, okay? They show positive effect to niacin. Now, vitamin K2 and helps about the calcification in the endothelium of the arteries And I advise all the bodybuilders, if you want to use vitamin D3, always use it along with vitamin K2, because otherwise you're going to direct the calcium to the arteries as well instead of the bone tissue. So vitamin K2 ensures that calcium is deposited straight to the bone tissue instead of also on the endothelium of arteries. Now, if you use monodose of K2, that actually does not interfere with clotting like vitamin K, like the regular vitamin K. Now, monodose of vitamin K2, it has been shown to some cases to reverse the calcium score and in a way to absorb all the calcium deposits from the endothelium of the arteries. Calcium deposit, as a matter of fact, is more promising than atherosclerotic plaque deposits. There are so it's better to have a calcium score. Why? Because it's solid and it does not detach. And the cholesterol plaques may detach and go somewhere else and occlude, and you may have an embolism, or an infarction.
Wow.
But calcium has nothing to do with cholesterol. It's just calcification.
Oh, good. Because I have some calcification going on, so okay, I won't worry about it.
I believe DECA contributes on that.
Yeah, well, DECA's great for your joints, though. See.
But DECA was made for bone tissue, so some of the calcium may be absorbed from the arteries.
Oh, well, that explains it. Ah, another health-based question. I'm shocked. Dr. T, my blood work came back and creatinine increased from 80 to 94 European values. What does this have to do with? He wants to know, why do you think his creatinine increased so much?
Now, creatinine elevates usually out of creatine. Creatine is metabolized to creatinine. Now, creatine, we use it either in a supplement form or from red meat. Red meat takes the Greek name for red meat is creas. Now, creas and creatine are similar, and actually meat, creas, contains creatine. And that's why it's very anabolic, the red meat, because it contains creatine. Now, if you eat tons of red meat, or if you use supplemented creatine, it will metabolize to creatinine and elevate the blood levels. Now, creatinine also is elevated under dehydration or other reasons when we use, for instance, kidney stressing antibiotics like aminoglycosides, or other drugs like non-steroidal inflammatory drugs like diclofenac or dimethyl, for instance. Trembolone also elevates creatinine. And another more reliable marker is GFR, glomerular filtration rate. That is also pseudo-elevated in bodybuilders because they contain more body mass index, and this equals with more skeletal muscle. Now, more skeletal muscle contains more creatine that will be metabolized to creatinine. That's why a guy like you and me with a body mass index above 30, we have a pseudo-elevated creatine and GFR than a skinny marathon guy, okay? And now the most accurate method is the 24-hour creatinine clearance. So you collect all your pee in 24 hours, and you give it to the laboratory, and they estimate the clearance of the kidneys in 24 hours, okay? And this is the most accurate.
Wow.
So you collect all your pee in bottles, and you bring it to the laboratory, and you tell them to measure my 24 hours creatinine clearance.
I'd be showing up with a gallon jug. Probably pee a gallon a day. If I drink 2 gallons a day,
I used to give them in my fridge, I used to give them.
Like a freeze.
They were like orange juices.
Oh man, yeah, that sounds like a lot of work, but I guess it sounds accurate, an accurate way to figure it out. Okay, we got a long question, Doc, so I better get started on this one. Thanks for the great work. I'm learning so much from this show. I'm 46 years old, did some steroid cycles in my 20s and early 30s. To cut a long story short, I started self-prescribing TRT. My testosterone was at the bottom end of normal, and my doctor refused to put me on TRT as I was still within normal range. So I decided to go on 150 milligrams enanthate per week and monitor blood work, etc. myself. After 3 months of just 150 milligrams a week, TE split in 2 75 milligram shallow intramuscular doses, I got my blood work back. So these are UK values. Total T, 116 nanogram mmol, free T, 4.04, estradiol 103, FSH and LH less than 0.3 as expected. Lipid panel good. Blood pressure 115/75. Hematocrit within range. No AI needed. So my question, as my free T is over 6 times normal and bloods are good, is this something I should be concerned about as I am on a TRT dose, or should I simply be happy I'm not hyper responder and soak up the gains? Will such high levels of free testosterone cause issues in the long term if my estradiol is perfect, blood pressure is normal, and bloods are good? Perhaps the free T will simply normalize in the long term, or should I cut the dose to something like 50 milligrams a week?
Yes, what we usually see is that the free testosterone, which is the bioavailable in the active form, is the one that will be metabolized to beta estradiol and will aromatize. So usually, when free testosterone is sky high, then we usually expect the estradiol to be also above range. However, in this case, this does not take place. Now, in a way to minimize estradiol, we should modify the dose and cut it in small daily doses in order to avoid spiking of E2 and DHT. So the 150 milligrams can be divided in 5 doses of 30 milligrams. But his estradiol also is optimized. Now, he doesn't have any aromatization issues, but on the other hand, this elevated free testosterone is responsible for all the benefits of the good mood, of the sex drive, of the self-esteem, of everything that comes out of testosterone. So I don't think that as long as he doesn't have any aromatization issues, and he's very blessed for this because maybe of his estrogen receptors, or maybe he's super lean, he doesn't aromatize, unlike other people who have to use perhaps half a gram of anastrozole once a week. Yeah, we're all different, biochemically. And so we should also work by evidence, by lab work, and also by having the clinical symptoms.
Yeah,
So in his case, I wouldn't touch anything, but in case he wants to even lower his estradiol, he should do it. He should split it 5 times of 30 milligrams instead of twice of 75.
Or maybe could he do like 25 milligrams every day?
Sure, yes, but this he should exclude Sunday.
Okay, yeah, that would give you 150 exactly. I mean, he's lucky that he does so well on 150 milligrams a week. That's not
sure.
much.
Yes. Yeah.
So, sir, if you're watching, you're a very fortunate man. Here we go. Next one. I'm 29 years old, over 30% body fat, training heavy and systematically for almost a year now, 5 to 6 meals a day, supplementation, etc. I've been diagnosed by my endo with secondary hypogonadism, 220 to 270 free test. Do you think he means total test? That sounds really high for free test. And,
yes, total test, yes.
Yeah, and I'm in libido Aromacin protocol, 1 gram every 5 weeks, so he must be in Europe. 12.5 milligrams AI every other day. E2 is 20 to 25. If I lose all this extra fat and start a PCT, is there a chance I could have my own test back? I don't want to be on TRT for life.
Now, I highly doubt that secondary hypogonadism is reversible. This is what I also had, but mine was under anabolic steroid induced.
Right.
But, basically secondary means that the brain doesn't react. So it doesn't give any signal to the testicles. So game over. Because when the brain is active and the testicles are small and you have the kind of testicular failure, there's still some hope because there might be a signal still. Now, the protocol he uses is wrong because libido is supposed to be used every 10 or 12 weeks. Okay. This guy uses every 5 weeks. Yeah. This may be beneficial for his fat storage. This looks like a cycle, a steroid cycle, because it's too early, too short to shoot libido every 5 to 6 weeks. It's almost half of the time expected. And afterwards, he will elevate dramatically his hematocrit and perhaps his estrogens as well. And his total testosterone also will elevate after 2-3 shots over the range. On Saturday, there was a client of mine, a patient of mine, who's introduced to libido, and even after the second shot, so practically it was after 6 months, his total testosterone didn't reach 50% levels. So now we had the third injection, and we still expect the total testosterone to climb up. So libido is super slow. This guy has to wait. But I highly doubt that is a turning back point. No. I'm sorry, that secondary hypogonadism, it's there, it's over.
It's irreversible.
It's out of the question, yes. Wow. And why he doesn't want to get into replacement therapy? Thank God we have TRT.
Right.
There is a cure about this, about the hypogonadism, okay? So medicine has evolved, and we found a cure. Now, if you follow the guidelines, now you're going to feel like a teenager for the rest of your life. Yeah. So what's the big deal about it? Every disease has a cure. Now, if you're schizophrenic, you take medication. If you're hypertensive, you get medication. If you're diabetic, you get medication. If you're hypogonadic, you get your testosterone. Yeah. What the hell is bad about this?
Well, he didn't understand that it's never coming back. He's never going to be able to produce testosterone.
He's going to look much better. He's going to feel much better. Yeah. Okay, some people are, okay, maybe he didn't abuse steroids, right. But fortunately, there is a solution to that.
Yeah, I mean, one shot every 5 weeks. I mean, I don't know anybody that does that. Everybody I know
it's every 60 or 90 days.
Yeah, that's
2 months.
That's nothing. I wish I only had to do it that often. But I wouldn't want this libido crap. No. So I'm not a fan of that whole idea of the super long esting testosterone. Okay, final question. This is strange. Libido. I thought everybody had this raging, crazy high libido, but apparently not. Hi, Doc. What do you suggest to use to improve libido? I finished my cycle 2 months ago. So far, my gains in strength are good, but my libido is low. I have a total T of 4.5. No, that can't be right. Total T of 4.5 and E2 of 27.
This is 450, actually, the European
okay.
measure.
I was going to say, that sounded really strange.
Yeah. Now, there are 3 ways to boost as libido enhancers. One is HCG. HCG elevates your endogenous testosterone production, and especially even within cycle or into testosterone replacement therapy, it makes your balls to be active, okay, your Leydig cells, so there is endogenous testosterone production. Number 2 is mesterolone, synthetic DHT, proviron, that binds tightly to SHBG, crush it, and liberates free testosterone, the active form. The other one is a minor androgen, we call it DHEA, that also is supposed to elevate free testosterone by binding to SHBG. So these are the 3 libido enhancers we have, and we can introduce them into TRT and make the HRT. So personally, myself and to all my patients, I supply them with 3 androgens: testosterone, DHT, which is ACA provider, and DHEA plus HCG, and you be super horny about it. You can be a porn star.
So, I mean, if you're on TRT, if you're on a proper dose, you shouldn't have issues with libido, right?
No, but sometimes, the balls shrink, the semen production is lowered, and some people hit a plateau. I heard bodybuilders saying that I no longer respond to 1 gram of testosterone. I don't have, a hard-on. So what should I do? Okay, you should introduce small amounts of HCG, for instance, twice a week, or even every day, but very small doses, proviron also, and DHEA.
That's a lot better than I think most guys would think. Maybe I'll just take 2 grams or 3 grams of test.
No, I believe there is also the saturation theory, what Morgenthaler said about the prostate gland and testosterone. Also, William Llewellyn supported the saturation of the steroid receptors, that there comes a point that they no longer absorb gear. They have to be cleaned up, and more is not better. It does not absorb anymore. Yeah. It's get wasted,
It's terrible.
only side effects come out of it.
Yeah, you remember who Mike Quinn was, right? He's still alive. Mike Quinn.
Yes,
We had an
yes,
interview this is an interview probably 10 or 15 years ago, but he put it a very, very simple way, for all of us meatheads to understand. As far as taking more and more steroids, he says you can have a glass, you can keep putting water in that glass, but once the glass is full, it's just wasted. The water's spilling out all over the place, and that's your side effects. So,
very true.
yeah.
Very true.
Well, Doc, you've been very generous. 8 questions today. I don't know if we even need to tell people to leave questions anymore. I think they're doing it by themselves. But great job, guys. You've been leaving some good questions. The doctor's giving you bonuses every week. We used to do 6 questions, and we kept it at 6. But the doctor lately is saying, no, we got 7, we got 8. We're going to answer all 7 or 8. So very generous with your time and knowledge, doctor. So, guys, I guess we do still have that thread on the Muscular Development No Bull Forum called Questions for Dr. T. I leave that always up there as a sticky thread. You can leave questions there. You can leave them under the YouTube comments on these videos. We will get to them. And, of course, I encourage you, if you need basic information about all the different steroids and other drugs used in bodybuilding, the doctor covers them all in his book, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. There's actually a lot of different types of information here. You'd be surprised all the different things the doctor covers in this one book. And you can get that at gtool.com, gtoul.com, or amazon.com.
And on October's issue with Phil Heath on the cover, I analyzed extensively under scientific data the bubble gut phenomenon.
That's right, the bubble gut. I was reading that the other day.
Yeah, it's multifactorial.
It is,
and but it's reversible.
Good, because I got a little bubble gut. I'd like to reverse it. So that was that article.
You know what? Obese people that have metabolic syndrome in the society that do not lift and take anabolic substances, they have the bubble gut. That it's the result of the augmental fat because of endogenous insulin release that comes out of food,
Huh. And we get it from shooting insulin.
Shooting insulin, but also from somatropin, also, eating a lot and having also lack of fiber and other things.
Yeah,
the exercises that bloat the transverse abdominal muscles, it's multifactorial.
I know for me, insulin was I used it for probably about 4 months a few winters ago, and boy, I got
as Phyllis told you, depends what you eat with insulin also, yes.
Yeah, he said the cookies were I should not have been eating cookies with the insulin.
But you know why you eat cookies? Because you feel hypoglycemic. This is the thing.
And they were delicious. So, my training partner's wife, I trained with 2 guys, and both of their wives were baking cookies all winter.
I had to eat 5 oranges when I feel shaky.
Oh, wow. 5 oranges. That's a lot. That's a full day supply. That's a full week supply of vitamin C. Man, okay. Well, doctor, thank you so much for taking your time and energy and all that. Everybody, please check out his website. A lot of information on there, gtoul.com. You can follow the doctor on mostly Instagram, right?
Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and LinkedIn also.
What's your Instagram again? It's just your name?
Dr. George Tuoliatos.
Dr. George Tuoliatos. There you go, guys.
Yes.
Find it. All right. Doctor, thank you. Everybody, thanks for watching. This has been Ask Dr. Testosterone, and we'll see you next time.